Welcome to episode 21 of the Purpose Driven Funnels Show. Today, my guest, Laurie Shields, is a digital marketing strategist, and we talk really deeply about how she broke free from her 9 to 5 and grew a successful business. And she shares some things that we may not have thought of before. I'm embarking on a journey to grow a successful online business so I can break free from my 9 to 5. The question is, how will I do it? Find out right here on the Purpose Driven Funnels Show, where you will get an insider's view as I interview experts who have succeeded. I'm doing it because my why is bigger than my 9 to 5. Life was meant to be a joy, not a chore. Will you join me? Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/purpose-driven-funnels. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Today, I have Laurie Shields on the podcast. She is a digital marketing strategist who helps entrepreneurs uplevel their business with strategic marketing and events. I'm really excited to have you on the show, Laurie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we just dive in and just kind of find out a little bit about you, how you got into being a strategic marketer and, an events person for other businesses, and kind of the reason behind why you got started and all that.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely a story that has lots of twists and turns. My background is actually in product development and design, which is completely different than what I do now. I have a degree in history, which I've done absolutely nothing with, and I have a degree in design. And so for many years, I worked in the corporate industry. I've worked for companies like Disney and Pottery Barn, doing a lot of product development and design for them. And a few years ago, I started working for a very small company. It's a children's footwear company. And it's just one of those places where you wear tons of different hats. And so I started to take over all of their social media management. And I should say, during this time, or actually a few years prior to working with this company, I had my first child. And really ever since then, I had been working on figuring out a way that I could work from home, that I could leave the corporate world, that I could have a flexible schedule. It was something that just almost haunted me every single day. I know many people are able to do it, but it just gave me a lot of anxiety trying to figure out how to work a regular 9 to 5 job and also, be there for all of my kids' events and be there to pick them up and drop them off and all that kind of stuff. And I just knew as they got older that there was going to just be more and more and more of that. And so I felt like I needed to make a change. And so while I was working for this company, I started to manage all of their social media. And I found that I really liked it. I loved connecting with people. I loved helping to grow the brand. I just found it to be a really interesting way to market and to grow their business. And I was really successful at it. And while I was working there, I started taking on clients on the side and growing their brand through social media and digital marketing and helping them to grow their lists and their following. And then actually just this past year in December, my client list grew large enough that I was able to leave my 9 to 5 job and pursue this full time. And ever since then, I don't even know how to tell you how I got to where I am right now, but it's changed a couple times, and I've just really taken what I've learned in digital marketing and started to help other entrepreneurs and business owners to launch events for their business. I think that events are a really, really great way to get yourself out there, to connect with your audience. As much as I love digital marketing and social media marketing, there's this missing component that people need of just human interaction. And I think that events are the way to do that. And so that's why I've gotten involved with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I heard you say, if I heard you correctly, that when you kind of first started into the social media uh, part was working for another company, and then you were kind of doing clients on the side. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. So I just, I've just kind of always been someone who likes to hustle and do things on the side wherever I can. When I was staying at home, I also started a photography business. I just kind of like to do little things and see where it takes me. So I found I was really good with social media management. And so an opportunity really just presented it to me in the beginning. I didn't really seek it out, but somebody contacted me about handling their Facebook and their Instagram accounts and creating content for them. And that's really where it started. And once I realized that people would hire me for that, then I started to seek out other people.
Right. Yeah, that's great because,
Yeah.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs, I was included in that for sure, where it's hard to figure out what you want to do. And I've heard a few stories now like yours where that it wasn't really something you were looking for. It just kind of happened to come along and you're like, oh, hey, that seems like a pretty good idea and people will pay for it.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that I was already looking just for a way to leave the corporate environment was helpful. And then I was able to kind of, realize opportunities as they presented themselves to me and kind of figure out if that was going to be the way that I could leave my job.
Right. So once you started doing that on the side, then
Mhm.
about how long was it before you actually left your 9 to 5?
Um, I would say probably a year, mostly because I was taking it slow. I didn't really believe that I could actually do it for a long period of time. And then probably about 4 months before I left my job, I joined a mentorship and coaching program under Rachel Peterson. I joined her really like high elite mastermind group. And that was really the catalyst that I needed to say like, okay, this is a business. I'm treating this as a business. And I'm going to move forward with it as such. And so once I joined that, it was about 4 months and then I left my job.
Wow, that's awesome. So would
Yeah.
you say that mentorship really kind of helped give you that boost into, I don't know, to make that happen? Or was that just this kind of the same time things started to pick up for you?
Oh no, it was definitely the catalyst. It was, I got into that group and made my intentions clear, saying, this is what my goal is. And honestly, I think the people that I met in there and the mentorship through Rachel really were instrumental in helping me to get there. I think some of the opportunities I had and the clients I was able to get came through that group. And that allowed me to be able to match what I was currently making at my corporate job and be able to leave. I don't actually know where I would be if I wouldn't have joined that group.
Probably working for somebody else, right? Yeah, no, that's great. So one of the things I like to ask too is, now that you've broken free from the 9 to 5, you have your own business, you're going forward. What were some of the kind of toughest moments that you had to deal with and on the journey to getting your financial freedom?
Well, I think that just ownership in myself, really. The corporate environment, it's like I know what I had to do every single day. It was not really anything different. I could just go in, do what I needed to do, and be done with it. But when I was doing things on my own, I could do whatever I wanted, and so really holding myself accountable for the things I needed to get done that day, but also holding myself accountable for growing. In a corporate job, you can climb the corporate ladder or you don't have to, but in working for yourself, any forward momentum is only, up to you. You're the only person responsible for that. And I think that was pretty hard for me to understand at first, and probably still working on it. That, everything is up to me. Any kind of growth and momentum is relying solely on my actions every single day.
Yeah, that's a really good point because it takes, I'm finding anyway, it takes a lot more discipline to decide to show up for yourself, versus, I just show up for my employer because I know I have to. If I don't get paid if I don't. But, you really just have to walk in the door most of the time and you're okay.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah. And it's very interesting. I mean, coming from that environment, I actually, my brother-in-law has been an entrepreneur for quite some time, and he recently actually went to work in the corporate world for the very first time in his life. And it's been very interesting to talk to him and hear how he's viewing it and say, well, people don't really do anything all day. They just get the minimum done that they need to do, and that's enough. And I'm like, yep.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand. Another thing I heard you say a little bit earlier too was that you kind of, when you hit that mentorship program, I heard you say something about you had just to make up your mind that you were going to have a business. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because sometimes I think that, I know myself, I've been stuck in the, I like to do this, but I'm deep down, I'm not really sure, if I can or if I should. So can you just kind of speak to that mind shift that you went through?
I think that's still something that I deal with every day. There just comes a point where you need to just be all in. And that doesn't mean you can't have moments where, you second guess yourself, because you're going to have a lot of those.
Sure.
But yeah, just deciding this is what I want to do. And I am going to take the steps necessary to move this forward. And I'm not going to get it right all the time, but I need to make an actual effort to start this business and to move forward with it. So I think that you just at some point have to really decide that that's what you're going to do. It's no longer a hobby. It's no longer a side hustle. It's a business, and you're going to take the steps every day to move it forward as a business.
So was there any kind of fear that you went through when you decided, what, this is going to be my business, my livelihood, in making that change?
Yes and no. I don't think I had the fear that some people might have, and just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave my job. What if this doesn't work? Because I had a pretty good safety net. I had a client that I really, really, really didn't think was ever going to go anywhere, and they haven't gone anywhere yet. So I felt very comfortable from that financial point of view, where I think some people may not necessarily feel that way. But taking any step out of the corporate world means, if you decide you want to go back at some point, you have a big, gap in your resume. Even though you've been doing something, corporations may not see it like that. And I think the biggest fear for me was actually health insurance.
Right.
Because my husband he also owns his own business. And so health insurance had always been 100% from my job. And so that was the biggest factor for us, was having our private health insurance. That was a huge, scary factor for me.
Yes, I can totally understand that. Being in HR, I mean, you deal with insurance all the time, and yeah, it's even with an employer, it's very, very expensive. Right. So, yeah, that's definitely something to pay attention to for sure.
Right, and I think most people are, probably don't have both people in the relationship. If they're in a relationship, employed by themselves. So usually one or the other can provide health insurance, but for us, it was just a different situation. And that was a big conversation, and we had to make sure we could financially match, what private healthcare or health insurance was going to be.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So we talked a little bit about some tough moments. Well, what about some breakthrough moments? Did you have any just a breakthrough moment where you just knew this is going to work, or some major success?
One of the I guess funniest to me was just realizing that I was no longer working in the corporate world, even though I knew I wasn't, because I wasn't going to work every day. But some of my friends had sent me a message saying, we're going to go to Florida for like a girls' weekend. And I just sent a text back right away saying, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it. And like, I sat there for a second and I was just like, wait a second, I can go. Like, I don't have to answer to anyone.
Right.
Ask my husband and get childcare and all those normal things. But like, I didn't need to check with my boss. I didn't need to see if I had any vacation days. That was completely up to me and I could go. And it was this really awesome feeling of just freedom, not having to answer to anybody else but myself. Obviously my family too, but
right.
or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that's huge, because I know one of my big things is that really just gets me is that the fact that I have to ask somebody if I can please have vacation. Can I have some time off, and still get paid for it? I mean, it's ludicrous. And I'm with you, because I can't wait to find that day when I don't have to actually ask for it. I'm probably going to do what you did. I'll be like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I can't.
Like, wait, yes, I can. And it was a really great feeling. And then the other thing was this winter, we don't get a lot of snow in Washington, but this winter, for some reason, we got insane amount of snow. And my son was out of school for 3 weeks, which is crazy. And I just sat there and I kept thinking, if I was working in my corporate job, how would I be able to do this? I can't take 3 weeks off of work. Is he going to come to work with me?
Right.
I don't have a babysitter lined up because he's supposed to be in school. And I was just grateful every single day. Well, I can't necessarily say that, because some days I was going crazy because I had my kid home for 3 weeks. But I was just very thankful that I had that opportunity to be at home and work from home and, have that flexibility.
Yeah, that is amazing. And that's one of the big things that I'm looking forward to also, is just, being able to be with my family, not have to worry about what's going to happen, that I've got flexibility to, like you said, if your kid's not going to be in school for 3 weeks, well, that's okay. We'll be at home. So, no, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
What can you tell me, like when you get up every day, like where's your inspiration come from, or what, just kind of drives you to keep going?
Sure. Well, I would say definitely being still in this mentorship group is one of the biggest helpful things for me, because those are people who know what my goals are. And it's not that they're checking in on me every day, but, we do Facebook messages, and we have like a little Voxer channel and everything like that. And so I know that they're out working and hustling and doing stuff, and that actually motivates me too. I also just, I have my list of annual goals, and obviously and break that down into monthly goals and weekly goals and all that good stuff. And so just trying to keep on track to reach those every week and every month is really what kind of sets me up to decide what I need to do that day.
Right. So you'd say that having that organization and the prioritization is pretty important?
For me, it is. I'm just a very scheduled person, and if I don't have things written out, I get lost. So for me, I need to know exactly what I'm working towards and how I'm going to get there. And if I've got it written down and that's what I need to do today, then I'm most likely going to do it that day.
Right. Great. Yeah. So another quick question I do have too, though, talking about, when you were shifting from having some side clients to having a full-time business. So was there a certain point, like a certain number of clients or a certain, amount of income or percentage of your corporate income that you decided, like, this is when I'm going to do it? Or did you just kind of cut the thing off and say, I think I can do it now?
No, in my mind, I needed to match my corporate and also add on an extra $2,000 for health insurance.
Right.
So it was matching and then some, and then that was hard because I had my salary and double that and, additional for health insurance. And so I was like, well, maybe I should just keep doing this on the side. That's a lot,
Right.
Good amount of money. But I knew that the flexibility and the ability to do my own thing was more important. But yeah, for me, and especially my husband too, he wanted, he felt really comfortable with, you got to match it and we got to be able to cover health insurance.
Yeah, no, great. That's great. I appreciate that. And I heard you say, you kind of thought for a brief moment, hey, should I stay? Because I'm like making like lots of money now. I can stay with my job that I don't really need. And,
Mhm.
I have that thought a lot. Like I'm thinking in the future, like, okay, what if I did wait till I was making, basically even half of what I make, at the corporate job, or matching it like you did. I'm like, with all that extra money, would I really want to quit right away? I mean, sometimes you kind of hesitate for a minute, say maybe I could do it for a little longer and do this or do
Yeah.
that.
Well, and I think for some people, and you know what, I probably would have felt comfortable leaving before I reached that point if I felt I had a better like nest egg on savings. And that just
Mhm.
wasn't something I felt really comfortable with where we were at. I know some people obviously have a, much larger savings than we did. And so then they have a little bit to fall back on, but we didn't really have that. And so for me, it was really important that we didn't lose any income in that transition.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to think about, because a lot of people don't have a lot of savings in it. When you don't have that corporate paycheck to fall back on necessarily, yeah, I'm sure at least I'd be a little bit scared for sure.
Definitely.
So in doing the side clients and having, the corporate job, obviously the kind of work that you do, you spend a lot of time providing a service to your clients, right? So how do you balance, having those side clients that you've got when you're basically trying to match what you're making at your corporate job? You have a family, you do have your corporate job as well. So how did you manage your time with that?
Just getting it in where it could fit in. So I took calls driving to and from work all the time. I usually had about an hour lunch break. I had a really great corporate job. It was very relaxed. Um, and so calls on my lunch break, any kind of work I could get done on my lunch break. Usually I had about an hour in the morning before work started that I could get some stuff done, and then probably 2 hours at night that I could do stuff. I gave up watching TV religiously at night a long time ago, so that wasn't a big transition for me. I
Right.
mean, it's still on. I'd still sit there, but it's in the background. And I just sit there with, my husband on the couch, and I would just do client work then. So, I mean, that actually adds up to quite a few hours in the day that I could get stuff done.
Yeah, that's great. So you basically do what, the sacrifice that's needed, we forget the entertainment and stuff because we've got work to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could sit and watch TV for hours.
Yeah.
Even when I do have the time, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. My wife and I we haven't really watched TV or anything like that for a really long time. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine ever I mean, sometimes I wish like, hey, we could just sit around, maybe watch a movie now and again.
Yeah.
We might do that once in a while when we're having time together, but by and large, it's like, it just seems like a waste of time.
I know. Well, my brain just doesn't shut off anymore. So it's like I can't sit there and just zone out like I used to be able to.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that you could like say to somebody that's starting out, trying to start a business, that's trying to get out of their 9 to 5, if there's like one piece of advice, there's something that you could say, watch out for, or make sure you do that, what would that thing be that you think would be most helpful?
I would say if it's financially reasonable for you, would be to find a coach or a mentorship group. I really, really feel strongly about that. There's so many opportunities out there and people that can help you along your journey. Obviously, you need to find the right fit, and the best fit for you would be somebody who's done exactly what it is that you want to do, and have them help you along your journey. I think it helps you be accountable. It helps you really say that this is what I want to do and move you forward. And they also just will be able to give you lots of advice and tips on how to do what it is that you want to do. I really think that's invaluable.
Yeah, that's great. I've heard that from other people too, actually. So that must be pretty important.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing that and being our mentor for the show today and helping us
Thanks
out
for
with
having
just
me on.
yeah, absolutely. So, is there any way that, if the audience wants to reach out to you or find you online, how can they do that?
Sure. Well, I'm on Facebook, and you can just look up Laurie Shields, or my website is laurieshieldsmedia.com, and you can find me there as well.
All right, excellent, Laurie. Well, I appreciate you coming on again and sharing everything about your story and just being open about it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode. I really hope you found it valuable. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with somebody that you think might also find it valuable. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show so you don't miss anything coming up in the future. Also, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hop on over to purposedrivenfunnels.com and get on my email newsletter over there so that I can share some, secret insights that only people on that email newsletter are going to get. And I'm really working on some big projects and things that I'm going to be putting out there for free that are really going to help you guys start your business and get it off to a start even faster than what I did. So get on over there and get signed up for that, and I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, I'm wishing you success on your purpose-driven business journey. God bless.